Well, welcome to the new year. It's 2020 now. I see a lot of people are making videos about their top 10 favorite games that they've played in 2019. And I wanted to take a different approach and talk to you guys about the games that I played in 2019. Everything that I played. I've played more games than I've talked about on this channel, and I'd like to give each one of them a moment in the spotlight. I'm very particular with the games that I play. Mainly because video games, it's an expensive hobby, so before I invest in a game, I have to know that it's a game that I want to play. And this year I've played many indie game titles. This is the first year in my life that I've played so many of them. I also played a lot of retro games, and many of you who follow the channel know that those are my favorite type of games. So I want to break it up in a couple of categories. So starting off, I'm going to talk to you about the indie titles that I played this year. This game was introduced to me from a coworker back in 2016, and I didn't pick it up until it was free on Twitch. I downloaded it because of the recommendation, and I was just enchanted as I played it. It's a Metroidvania game with a charming art style. And one of the cool things about this game is that you build your own map as you tunnel through the world beneath you. It pulls a lot of inspiration from a super old game called Dig Dug. It's a clever take on the Metroidvania gameplay. I played it on the PC with my mouse and keyboard, which I don't recommend, but regardless, it was a lot of fun. And I'm still playing it to this day. I haven't completed it yet, but it's been a blast and I highly recommend it. Project Hospital. This is a game that I picked up at the end of 2018 and played it into the new year. I got it on Steam for about 20 bucks, and it's a simulator type game where there's a lot of mechanics and gameplay. You design and build your own hospital and hire nurses and doctors, and one of the funnest things that you can do in this game is to play as a doctor and diagnose the patients. So if you like being in simulator games, then this is a game that you gotta pick up. I'm gonna be honest, I'm a turd when it comes to super challenging games. If it's a game that kills me over and over and over, I get super frustrated and I turn it off. But there's just something special about Enter the Gungeon. It warms my heart every time I play it, and I credit that to the fun character animations and dialogue. It reminds me of the light-hearted dialogue that you'd find in the Legend of Zelda franchise. I purchased this game both on Switch and Steam, but I mainly played on my PC because I find that the controls are a little bit easier with the mouse aiming. I've had this game for well over a year, and I keep returning to it, despite the fact that I'm unable to complete it yet. One of the things that I love about this game is the diversity in weapons. It's rare to find the same gun twice, and I love that. The developers put a lot of care into this game, and it's only 20 bucks. For a long time, I've heard critics, fans, and friends tell me to pick up this game. And it was one of those games that everybody fell in love with. I was hesitant at picking it up because, I'm not gonna lie, I didn't care for the doom and gloom art style. It was something that turned me off. I like bright, colorful games because I'm a child. So these dark tones and atmosphere, it turned me off, and I wasn't really excited to play the game. But I eventually picked it up on the Nintendo Switch, and I was amazed at the detail that the developers put into this game. It immediately turned me on, and I loved it. So if you're a fan of Metroidvania games, this is the title to play. They took that Metroidvania game style and they perfected it. And it's also the perfect amount of challenge. It's not an easy game, and the bosses are very difficult. But there's a balance, I think, to boss battles. One of my biggest gripes with Nintendo games is that the boss battles are incredibly easy, even on hard modes when that option's available. But Hollow Knight, it challenges you to beat their bosses, and that's one of the best parts about this game. I saw this game at E3 2017 or 2018, I don't remember, but when I saw that first trailer, I was immediately excited. I love that flat art style. It doesn't care about depth or imagery. It's very clean and easy to navigate. Like Project Hospital, if you like games where you can just be a to people, then you're gonna love this game. It's super polished and it's easy to pick up. One of my favorite things about this game is just the gameplay. It's so refreshing. You just have a list of objectives and that's it. You watch NPCs in their daily lives, and you watch how they interact with the environment, and you figure out how to solve certain problems from watching their patterns. It's such a simple idea, and it doesn't hide that fact. Some of the best games are the simple games. And I'm very happy that the success that House has made from this game. I just read an article that they have sold over 1 million copies since their release in September. Celeste. Celeste is easily one of my favorite games of the year. I've talked so much about it on this channel, I won't say more here. I did pick up the new DLC that came out later in 2019, and it's incredibly difficult, which I love. This is one of the few games that I just got entranced with because it's rare to find a soundtrack that matches the game so perfectly. And Celeste has done that. The music, it has this somber, sad feeling to it because you can feel the difficulties and the challenges that Madeline is facing. It puts you in her shoes. You understand that she's got to do something difficult and she's not strong enough to do it. And it's a discovery of her overcoming her weaknesses because you know what? That's the way you do it. Shakedown Hawaii. Another title that I talked a lot about my channel, so I won't go into detail here as well. But if you like setting the world on fire in a 16-bit art style, then this game is meant for you. The dialogue is some of the funniest that I've ever read in any video game that I've ever played, so kudos to that, because it's hard to find a game that's just comedy. This is a game that I recently started playing about 2 weeks ago. I have several coworkers and friends who introduced me to this game, and it took me a long time to finally pick it up. This is one of those games that people have on their wish list, and then one day they finally make the purchase, but then you hit yourself in the head because you realize how great of a game it is and how you should have picked it up months ago. I regret buying this game so late. This is one of those rare games that I've played about 20 or 30 hours in a single week. I can't get off this game, and I can't get enough of this game. It's like this big boy SimCity tower defense game with a twist of sci-fi. It's everything that I love in a video game. Essentially, you're a dude crash landed on an alien planet, and you have to try to make a rocket to go back home. Now, the problem is that you're working at ground zero, mining iron and copper and coal, and you have to build basic tools and utilities until you can get to a point where you can start building factories to build things for you and to automate everything. So hear me out. Now, this game's only $30, and is one of those games that you will fall in love with the moment you play it. This was one of the first games that I fell in love with in my childhood. It was my life. Donkey Kong and Mario were untouchable in the video game world when I was a kid. I find myself replaying this game every couple of years because of the good times and the memories that I created. And every time I pick it up, I wonder and I think to myself, is this game as good as I remember, or is it just my childhood nostalgia? It's a good game. It's a great game. It's a fantastic game. It's easily one of the best platformers, and it's been released for over 25 years. The level design, the music, each level is so unique. It gives the game its own world and flavor. Though DK3 is not my favorite in the original DK trilogy, it's still a great game. I'd have to say that the sequel, Donkey Kong 2, is my favorite, and for some reason I skipped playing it this year and I went directly to DK3. Now, this game took different risks and introduced a new world with new spices. I truly enjoyed this game. Even though that David Wise, the original composer for 1 and 2, didn't compose all the soundtracks, or at least the entire soundtrack, it's still a great time, and it gives DK a great feel. Everybody hates Kiddy Kong, and you know what? That's okay. The old school, traditional, at-home arcade game is a reminder that a game doesn't have to have guns and 1,000 levels are a great concept. It's just raw, fun gameplay that you can get into for a couple of hours. One of my favorite Zeldas of all time. It wasn't until this year I heard a lot of people saying negative things about it. I was pretty shocked by that, so I had to revisit it. And I don't know what other people are talking about, to be honest. This game is a masterpiece. The third installment of the Zelda franchise. It changed everything we knew about Zelda games at the time. The first Zelda game was an open world that captured players' hearts because of the exploration. Zelda 2... we don't talk about Zelda 2. Eiji Aonuma wanted to add a lot of story to the Zelda universe, and that's how we got this game. It changed the gameplay from open world to a more linear structure, and I think that that's where people had problems with the Zelda franchise. But I'm okay with that because of this game, we have all this Zelda lore and information and story about the Triforce and Zelda and Link and who everybody is. One of the fascinating things is that it took some elements from Metroid where you have to upgrade your weaponry and your armor to reach different parts of the levels. And instead of having a linear dungeon that's all connected, it's just a map. It's a single map that you can explore and find secrets. So it still holds up, and I think everybody should play it. And this game has a lot of secrets to explore and to find. It was the first time playing that I actually unlocked Halloween Town, which is when you complete the Star World, everything turns into Halloween. All the villains and bad guys have masks on, and they're completely different. So it's really fun. You actually unlock something that changes the entire game. It was the first time I did it because beating Star World is very challenging. Now, Mario, he eventually lost his cool after Mario 64. He made a brief appearance back for Sunshine, and then he was gone for a decade until Mario Odyssey. So I don't like to tell people that I play Mario games because they immediately think that you're a child and that you're not a real gamer. So I don't tell people that, but listen to me. Mario has some of the best games, and there's a reason why he's one of the biggest faces in the video game industry, and that's because Mario games, they're great, and everybody needs to experience them. Now, speaking of Mario, I want to talk about the Nintendo titles. I was super surprised to hear that Nintendo was developing a Box Boy game for their home console. It's always been developed in the 3DS world, and this is their fourth installment, if I'm not wrong. Fourth or fifth, I can't remember. It's such an underrated game. It's Nintendo's most underrated IP, and it's such a refreshing take on video games. It brought a lot of punch with it. It didn't hold back anything. The puzzles were refreshing, they brought new ideas, and they even had more story to develop their own little boxy world. My only question is, when is Box Boy coming to Smash Bros? Speaking of Smash Brothers, another game that I played this year. I got this for Christmas in 2018, and I played my little heart out. Now, this is the best Smash game that we've had since Melee. It's so much fun, and Nintendo keeps adding to this game a year later in its development. I love the roster. It's so large, it's out of control, and it continues to grow. This is a Smash Brothers I thought I would never see. I never get on it, and I never play with people online. It's been a long time, I won't lie. It's been a long time since I actually played the game. Because to me, this game was always the game that you'd play with your friends on a couch. To me, this game doesn't have that same magic because I'm an adult. I don't have friends that come over to play video games anymore. And when they do come over, we just hang out. It's rare that I get together with any friends to play video games. So it's kind of hard to see that that chapter in my life is closed. Even though Nintendo developed an amazing Smash Brothers game, I feel like I'm at a loss because I don't play it with anybody that I know. Now, I am going to try and force myself to get involved with the online gameplay a little bit more and to get better at the game because it truly is a wonderful installment of the franchise. And again, when is Box Boy coming to Smash Bros. Nintendo? I finally got around to playing this game. I know it's a port from the Wii U, and I never played it on that system. I don't know why, it didn't capture my attention for some reason. But my brother loved it so much on the Wii U that he purchased it again on the Switch. I borrowed the game and I played it because he recommended it to me. And I immediately saw what a great game this was. I understood why they ported it. Every level is so different, so unique. They never do the same thing twice. Each level is a different experience, and they're challenging, and they're long. It's something that I've wanted in a Donkey Kong game for decades. I didn't realize that this was something that existed because of my pride. I only hope that there's a sequel in development. This is easily one of the best platformers you'll find on the market. Now, the only thing I would like to see changed in this game is the ability to allow the player to play as the other Kongs. You can only play as DK. But you can, when you get another character, like you can find him in a barrel, you can use that other character's abilities, but you're still controlling Donkey Kong. That's my only gripe about the game. Other than that, it's just amazing. It's such a great experience. A cult classic. I thought this franchise was dead for good, but Nintendo surprised me by revealing its third installment. This game reminds me of Arrested Development, in the sense that it was a great TV show, one of the best on TV, but nobody watched it, and it was canceled until 10 years later when people discovered it and fell in love with it so much that Netflix had to bring back the show with a new season. Except Luigi's Mansion 3 was actually good, unlike Arrested Development Season 4 and 5. But the secret? They went back to their roots. They made the game all that it could be. They went into more detail and length with this game. I've heard a lot of people talk about how great the animations are, and it's true. It's one of the best parts of this game. Nintendo truly outdid themselves with this game. It's finally a game that people are playing and realizing how great it is, and because of that, they're going back and playing the other installments. So I can safely say, because of its success, that we know that this franchise is no longer dead, and that we'll be getting a fourth in the future. Yoshi's Crafted World. This game was good. A lot of people hated on it, but I don't think that these people realized that this game was for children. I rented it for my 4-year-old so that he could play it, and he loved it. And I loved playing it with him. That's just the kind of game it was meant to be. Adorable and for 4-year-olds. It's just great to see that a game studio made a game for children with that kind of quality. Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu. Let me just say right off the bat, I love the fact that they got rid of the random Pokemon encounters. It made this game a lot shorter because of it, but it made it so much better. I had a lot of fun playing this game and returning to the original 150 Pokemon. The only thing I wish that they did was make this game harder. It was just so easy. This game was so easy. If they made it harder, it would be perfect. Super Mario Maker 2. Now this game is out of control. It's just chaos, and I love it. And I love that Nintendo just gave the players the tools to make levels, and the players go nuts with its mechanics. It's so creative, and it's cool to see what people can create. I didn't end up buying this game because there were just so many other games that came out this year that I wanted to play, but it's still one that I have intentions to buy because it's consistently changing and it gives you so much to do. This was such a surprise. This was the first Zelda game I ever played. In fact, it was one of the first games I ever played. I remember playing it on the classic Game Boy. Man, I miss saying the word Game Boy. I have so many fond memories of stealing from the shop owner only to return just so that he would kill me. I got such a big kick out of that. The art style is so adorable, and I love it because it's just fitting to the game story. Zelda's always changing their art style for their games, which is one of the most creative things that they can do with the franchise. It's never the same, and it's always changing. And I gotta say, it was just a pleasure to return to a classic Zelda game this year after playing Breath of the Wild. Speaking of, I also revisited Breath of the Wild this year. Except this time, I turned on Master Mode and started from the very beginning. Master Mode in Breath of the Wild was the best experience that I have ever had with it. Breath of the Wild captured my heart, and it is easily one of my most favorite games of all time. Every step in this game is a surprise. There are no tutorials. Nothing tells you what to do. You get 4 runes, and then you just go about your business. You can do whatever you want in whatever order you want. And I understand that a lot of people have some gripes about, the voice acting and the lack of story, and I get all that. In fact, I'm working on a Zelda script right now. I wanted to go into depth talking about Zelda Breath of the Wild, but for the purpose of this video, I just want to say that Master Mode is the mode to play. It is so difficult to play Master Mode Breath of the Wild. Right at the Great Plateau, you see like a level 3 Lionel, and you just can't do anything about it. It's so cool. You have to tackle everything with a different perspective, because when I first played Breath of the Wild, it was all about just dropping in on the Bobokins and beating the crap out of them because I could. Sure, my weapons would break, but I could still take them all on. But in Master Mode, it's near impossible because your weapons break immediately. You are so out. You just don't have the strength to even take them on. So you have to go about it in a more sly, stealthy way. I really enjoyed playing the Master Mode. My only complaint is that the bosses didn't change. And that has always been my biggest complaint with Breath of the Wild. The bosses were too easy. But other than that, played in Master Mode and experience what I think Zelda should be like moving forward in the franchise. I would like to talk about some uncategorized games. There's 2 that I played this year. Minecraft. A friend of mine encouraged me to buy this game, and I did, and could not believe what I was missing out on. I spent hours mining, crafting, and watching YouTubes to build awesome stuff. This game is so casual, which is something that I've been looking for. Nobody makes casual games anymore. They're not as popular. So I love this game. I could just kick back on my couch and just discover cool things, make cool things, go find whatever I wanted. It's a great game to play. Dauntless. Another game produced by Epic Games, and it was free to play, which meant, yeah, I'd try it, and I love anything that's free. It's a take on the Monster Hunter games, which are a lot of fun and different. Nothing like having to have a difficult beast to kill and loot junk around the world and upgrade your armor and weapons. I didn't invest a lot of time in the game. I probably played 20-ish hours, but I enjoyed it. Battle Royale has swept the video game industry. It's the hottest gameplay that is on the market right now. Everyone's trying to take that concept and give it their own little gimmick. And unfortunately, none of them have been able to touch Fortnite except for Apex Legends. I mean, you could argue that Call of Duty has kind of put their foot there as well, but I would say that Apex Legends is the next big dog in the Battle Royale marketplace. Apex Legends, I spent probably a good 30 hours in this game. I was very impressed with it. The mechanics are very clean. It was very fun to get in there. I like the idea of having classes. I kind of felt like some were very underpowered. Some of them didn't really do anything. And then there were other characters that actually had useful abilities. I haven't played the game for about 6 or 7 or maybe even longer months. So I don't know where they're at with the game now. I did play it. I did enjoy it. But then I just moved on because Battle Royale, in my mind, was kind of starting to phase out at the time. But it was a great game. And I'll probably return to it in a couple of months, to be honest. Other than those games, there are 2 games that I have consistently played for the last couple of years. Fortnite. For 2 years, I have played this game. And I took about a 6-month break this year, and I just found myself back into it. They continue to add and to change things. It's always refreshing. The mechanics are the same, building and shooting, but they keep changing things. They have live events, they have themes, and it's just changing. Now, I didn't buy the Battle Pass this year. I just didn't want to invest in the Battle Pass and force myself to continue to play this game. It's one that's on and off right now, but I have found myself playing it, every couple of months, every couple of weeks. One of the big things that they did this year is that they finally fixed the shooting issue. I always felt like no matter what, you could shoot somebody and it would miss. There's so many times that it was like point blank shot. Should have been just a one-shot shotgun kill and they wouldn't get hurt at all. And I always found that frustrating, but they finally corrected that issue with Fortnite 2. And I am finally dominating because of it. So one of the best things that I love about Fortnite is that the developers are always fixing problems with the game, and they're always adding to it. Overwatch. Now, I was off Overwatch for about a year, but I finally got back into it earlier this year, and I played it for months, non-stop, and I remembered why this was one of my favorite games ever. I have to say I was a little disappointed with Blizzard and what happened with their Hearthstone competition in Hong Kong. I won't get into that here, but I've been mildly protesting them by not playing their game. It hurts me because it came out on Switch, which is something that I've been waiting for 2 years now, and I've yet to buy it. Blizzard, get your crap together so I can play your games again. Now finally, for the moment you've been waiting for, my game of the year. Now I was going to give this game to Celeste. Celeste just blew my mind. I could not believe that an indie studio made such a quality game. But 2 weeks ago I bought Factorio and it captured my heart right off the bat. I've been looking for a game like this for a very long time. The creativity, the intensity, the complexity is a perfect recipe for a game that I love. I find myself sneaking downstairs to play the game and to do one more thing, but then one more thing turns into 100 more things. It's like when you find a good show on Netflix and you binge it in a week just because it's so good and you have to keep watching it. That's this game. I can tell you right now that I'll be investing a lot of my time in 2020 playing Factorio. And for a $30 price tag, you can't beat that. Well, those are the games that I played this year. Hopefully you've tried some of these games. If you haven't, I hope that I got you a little excited to play them. But let me know what you played this year. Let me know what you plan on playing for 2020. I'm very excited about the games announced this year. We've got a pretty intense spring and summer coming up. So hopefully it will be just as good as 2019. Most of the games I played in 2019 weren't 2019 games. But let's just hope that it's another great year for the video game.